Has the meeting started now, Georgia?
Yes, I started the recording.
Okay. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. We can all stand. Right, we don't have a flag. We'll look at the, Peggy isn't here. Peggy had that. It was,
He has a flag.
good. Well, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay?
Just make sure everybody knows what flag we're pledging to.
Yeah. We've done the roll call, we've done the roll call, and we've checked off the list. We've also got a sign-in sheet for the other members, but we have all 7 members of the board are present around the table. And I will sign that thing and I'll go back to you, Georgia, when this meeting is over. And also the next thing I think on the agenda is anyone in the room have any comment they would like or anything they would like us to address in the room? A minute of silence is very difficult for me. So there is no.
I move we accept the item. So moved.
What we'll do is, I have a copy, I think it's been distributed in the minutes on most of the stuff, so you know the agenda is always on the CBD website and other supporting documentation. It takes a while because a lot of times we expect paper or expect an email. It's all at one place. It's in this the agenda and everything.
And just make one comment, do we get the address?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this room, just so you know, this meeting room has been moved multiple times from the theater over to here. For now, this is going to, it's not set up yet officially. It took a while to get this room set up, but eventually this room will always be set up for all the Pelican Preserve subcommittees will meet in here, and the projector will be set up and the microphone will be here and everything will be done. But we've moved back and forth. I actually like the theater, but we can deal with this. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes? By the way, these minutes that were on the website are very condensed. I think when I did them, I think I had like 15 pages. I think it's 2. It's 2 pages, very condensed. It just says what topic was presented and who presented it. Can I have a motion to accept this?
Make a motion to accept.
Okay.
Jim Latham.
Jim Latham made a motion to accept, and Lynn made a motion, second that motion. Come on, in. Can we have a vote on that?
Accept.
Okay, so that's 7-0, 7 to accept the minutes. So I will also, I've got that marked up with the names, and I will sign this, and that will come back to you, Georgia, in your office area there.
Okay, thank you.
Now I'll show you where we're at. I'm going to do the financial report. Let's see how, I got to figure out how to make this. Go down a little. Okay. One more down. This is the financial report for us through March 29th. I need to do some adjustments on that one line item there. You see row 11 aeration, we're up to 14,000 over budget. I'll have to take some money from one of the other line items that I know we were going to underspend on and move it into there. Okay, that line item, we're in transition with the power reduction and stuff, and Jay's going to cover that later. But we have a little more expense because of some of the things that we have done until we see the reduction in power. That will bring that line item back down. But short term, I'm going to have to do some adjustment. I shouldn't be here with my $14,000 in that line item. So I will do some adjustment of the budget to be able to take that. But where we're at, if you go to the bottom, 47%, we've signed 47% of our budget with contracts and that have not been billed. Okay. 32% is what we billed against our contracts. So if you add the two together, we're at 79% of our budget that we've committed to the ponds group, and 21% is not accounted for. Okay. We're going to interrupt right now and let Faye introduce herself, because you're an important new member, right? I'm not a new member, but you're the head of the Town Center PPCA that I always confuse with PPAC, but it is a different group. Why don't you stand up and introduce yourself? She's the new president of the Town Center Board.
Doug, can you please have her come up to the microphone or in the vicinity of the microphone so we can hear her? Thank you.
Just people on the computer.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, this is Faye Formoso. I live in Prado on Pistoia Drive. Been a member of the board, the Pelican Preserve Community Association Board for a year now, and now just took on the role of president. Doug reached out to me, thank you very much, and asked if I would stop by so I could just say hello and see what you all do firsthand. And I've seen from your committee has been very positive. We appreciate the work that you do. We recognize the value that you all bring. It's very much appreciated for sure. And so it's good to see you guys in action.
Okay.
So thank you for asking me to come.
And all of us needs to help her as she puts the new group in place. You know, new boards with new members. There's a lot of work to be done. As a group, we can help being positive and portray that within the community. I think would be helpful for her. I think you would agree with that.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time to come. I'm sure you got a lot of other things on your list of things to do,
Oh, that's okay.
but at least here, no one will complain.
Oh, well, that's good.
Okay. Now, Georgia, I'm going to take the agenda off my computer unless you want to. I'm trying to see.
I'm sharing my screen right now, but I had the financial data under member items and reports, so that's why.
Well, it was
looking different.
actually, that number was in there. The financial, I thought, was in there twice.
I
If
don't
you
think
look at
so.
the agenda, it was under, what was it under in the agenda? It was under,
Member items and reports.
well, number 6. Number 6 is financial report, and then it's also under there on 8F.
Okay.
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 Okay, I'm trying to get out of.
Now, if you want to share your screen, you
I
can do
think-
that.
I think we got I'm going to share mine because I think my version of that is better.
Okay.
Isn't that easier to read?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you have to share it with
The capital improvement plan.
Teams. Whoop.
I don't, Laura, did you add that to that list? Or who added that one to the list?
That's, yeah, I added that because you guys need to talk about what you want to do for next fiscal year. So
Okay,
we're starting the budget process and we have to have the high water mark set by the middle of June, which doesn't give you guys a lot of time to get this in front of PPAC and then for them to get it in front of the board. So if there's any large projects or actually any projects that you're looking at or undertaking, like either next fiscal year or we're looking out as far as 10 years. So if you have a big picture plan, kind of like what you guys did with your downspout initiative.
yeah,
So if there's anything else like that that you're looking at, we need to talk about that now because I have a meeting, a budget planning meeting with PPAC next Thursday, and I need to make sure that I include all of your committee items in that when we have those discussions.
okay, and that would go liaison?
Actually, yeah, but it would come to me. I compile them all
Okay,
and present it as one. She
Okay.
can discuss the individual items in more detail that I would not be able to do, but as far as the numbers, that should come to me, and then she can just go into deeper explanation of what they are.
Okay, and you're looking at like year 8 of the downspout initiative? Would that,
Absolutely. Yep.
that
And
would
then
be-
anything else you guys are think like if you're doing aerators, if you're planning fountains, if you're planning any kind of restoration, cleaning, any of that.
So and as a group, I don't know that we do a recommendation of that, but I know that year 8 of the downspout initiatives, we will continue to do. That's the last year, year 8 of 8. We wouldn't stop before we completed Prado and Pistoia. We're going to, Jim Latham is going to present here at this meeting our restoration, erosion, littoral, whatever we want to call. You'll have to come up with a formal name, but he's going to present where we are with that. That will have some expense for next year. That will need to be in there. The other thing is the 2 line items we picked up from a PPCA, or I don't know if they were PPCA or the O&M, the entry fountains coming into Pelican and the one off of Colonial. Those were picked up, Laura, with no budget.
Yep.
And right now, it's what I see so far this year for those fountains. It's been $12,000 plus. We just got hit with fountain repair of a pump. So I mean, it's probably at least $15,000 that are not. We're zero budget in our budget for that. So we're going to have to make some form of adjustment. And the other thing is the repairs to the boardwalk. We have still not completed them from Ian. And then on top of that, we'll be looking at painting or staining the boardwalk, the boards. So those are things that I know of. I don't see a big thing for aeration. I think the storm drains will have the actual, we could have what it takes to actually clean them. We're doing all the inspections right now. There'll probably be some cleaning that will come out of that for the storm drain. Correct? I'm just looking around the room. I'll send you a list of them, Laura, and
Yep.
copy.
And then if you have estimates for what the cost will be, just even if it's just ballpark, that's fine. And your financials that you have, because I didn't get that $2,500 bill until today. So where you were saying you're negative in that one account, you got to add $2,500
Right.
onto that because that
Right.
got pushed through today
I
as
think,
well.
I think I was going to move maybe 40 or so into that fund just because of the fact that we still pay power. So I don't want to come back. Maybe I'll even do 50. I don't want to come back multiple times to do adjustments.
No, I agree. I fully support that.
Because it's more work if we do it in the piecemeal.
Well, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So it's Chelsea O'Reilly. Doug, the point of the committee meeting as a whole, we want the committee to support all of these notions, and the main point is we don't want surprises and having to keep pulling out of reserves in next year. So we want to try to plan ahead, like Laura said, and that you guys have done with your initiative, your downspout initiative. We really want to look at the 10 years, any singular item that is $2,500 or more from the capital side, and then from the operation side, because we want a picture here. And I know KW, per the O&M agreement, has submitted some items. And so, like Laura said, next week, PPAC is going to be having a capital improvement discussion. So think big picture.
Right.
And we would like the blessing of, this committee and recommending that up to PPAC.
Okay. Can I have a motion of the things that we just went through? And that'll be in the minutes of this meeting, the agenda minutes. Can I have a motion that those are things? And does anyone have let's just say, does anyone have anything else they could see that we should add to that list?
Jim's gonna have stuff. Right?
Yes, that's the erosion and littoral. We'll end up with a budget.
On the list.
Yeah, that is probably going to be our biggest, the downspout initiative, but that's already been done with our 8-year plan. And just so you know, Chelsea, the only time we've ever taken money for reserves is a little bit of money that was done for the downspout initiative at the beginning of this year. When I say we need to come up with 50 to support the aeration, I'm not talking about going to reserves to get that. What I'm talking about is to move that from other line items within our approved budget. Just so we're clear. I'm not talking about getting that money from reserves.
Understood. Well, like, we know your downspout initiative is already kind of on the books, but we need to make sure we have that funding budgeted. And same thing, if you guys have projects that you're working on, we want to make sure that we account for those in the budget process.
I agree. And by the way, Peggy's already talked to me about coming together with that list. So do we need, besides, I'm going to try to repeat what I said, and I'll probably miss something. Besides the downspout initiative, the actual cleaning of the storm drains and interconnect, the erosion and littoral project, is there anything else? Is those the ones I think those are the ones I'm looking around the room at each of the. Yes, the boardwalk painting for the most part. The boardwalk painting. Thank you, Lou. Well, yes, the fountains are. We need a line item. We don't have any budget for that today. Okay. Is there?
I am. Budget going forward?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not able to make a phone call at this time, but you can ask me to place a FaceTime call.
That's not me. I don't think. Maybe it is. Well, okay. What were you going to say?
It's Richard Hennessy, Georgia. We had discussed in the past a budget item specifically for the stocking program, for stocking ponds.
Yep.
And we also made an initial discussion on possibly getting some eco-friendly artificial habitat for the ponds, which would obviously help with
where are they at? Somewhere here is the copy. I don't want to switch the screen,
Okay,
but in our budget,
okay,
there's a line item for fish stocking,
okay,
and it also includes the cleaning of the fish grates.
okay.
And we could do artificial habitat with that line item, but that's in the current budget we currently have.
Okay.
Okay, I just say, and we'll come, let's finish the motion, and then I'll come back. We have a motion to accept those changes. Second, yeah, vote.
Favor, aye.
7-0. Peter Audette did the primary motion, and second by Richard Hennessy, just so for the log and the thing, so we all know.
And Doug, you do have $10,000 in your current fish gate and aerator maintenance and all
Right.
that.
Right. And in years past, we have not spent all that. But there is $10,000, and we will, the way we would do this, usually we start the budget where we currently are, then we make the changes we need to make, and we try to keep the budget the same as prior year. We don't try to increase the budget. This year we might have to, because of the items we talked about, the boardwalk and the fountains out front.
Doug,
Yes.
on your computer screen, if you click on that CIP, that hyperlink where it says capital improvement, if you click on that, you'll see kind of the template that we're looking. Give it a
Yeah,
second.
I have a copy of that from Peggy.
Okay, because that's kind of what we're going to be plugging in and going 10 years out. And you'll see on there, like, the things that we need to account for. These new adjustable weirs, we need to start, they have a lifespan. The boardwalk, we don't want another $1 million surprise in however many years. We've got your downspout initiative on here, the entrance monuments, stormwater system repairs. So we've kind of plugged in what we know to be out there. But again, like I said earlier, we want your guys' input.
Okay. Any other comment on that? But my thought, Laura, I will work with you. I'll copy Peggy on that, because Peggy started that. In fact, the stuff that's on that chart you're talking about, Chelsea, came from Peggy and I initially. That's where that came from as a starting point.
Perfect.
Okay, but I wasn't in a, she didn't keep me out of the loop on that. I was a part of that loop. Okay, I'm gonna
Right.
thing, an update on the Downspout Initiative project. Can you see this, Chelsea? The reason I say, can you see this, Chelsea? This is the thing, the last meeting we had that Chelsea requested was some form of a schedule of when we think these are the projects yet to be done on the Downspout Initiative this year. The Pond 56, and these are all in Prado. These are, the dig right will be issued the 1st of May. There's a schedule, looks like I got a typo there, but there's a schedule for the completion of that. That should be May, not, my eyesight must be bad. That should be May 29th as the end for that first pond. And then you can go across the dig right. It's scheduled for Pond 56 East, scheduled for Pond 56 South, and scheduled for Pond 57. Those are the ponds yet to be completed in this fiscal year, in this 8th year of the, or 7th year of the contract. Those are, let me go down so you can see the pond. Right. It should go up. Yeah. Those are the schedules for the completion of this year, and we're working with David Hamilton. He's the lead from Prado Pistoia, from their group for the project. Any questions?
And this will be the completion of this 8-year project
No, this is the completion of year seven.
of year 7. Okay, so
Okay, and we will have to go back to CDD board for approval for year 8.
Okay.
Okay, it will be less than this year because we have the last segment has less ponds to do for year 8. But we will have to go back. It will be large enough that we will have to go back to CDD for approval for the ponds left. Okay. And I'll be glad when the 8-year project is done.
How much more money will we need for next year?
This project, this year was I'm just speaking without looking at the number right here. It's in that thing, I think it's around 250, 270 this year. Huh? 247, and then next year it will probably be closer to 200. Okay?
If you wish, there is a sometime foundation.
No, what? You want to say something? Oh, you mean what he said? The next thing, let me go back to the agenda. Any other comment on the Downspout Initiative from anyone? Does anyone want any more information about the initiative? You probably, Faye, do not know what that initiative was put in place for, but I'll try to summarize it because my meetings, they will not last longer than an hour, especially when I'm standing. It might even be a little less than that. But it's where we try to put downspouts connecting the back gutter into the pond underneath the ground when it comes to the pond, which protects erosion of the bank. Okay, and it started. The project was in the first probably 5 years was funded by whatever lack I call it, bid from Lennar in their, well, actually it was WCI bankruptcy. There was an amount of money that was put aside during their bankruptcy for infrastructure. And that's what the majority of the money we have spent on this project, that's where it came from. Okay?
And the HOAs are responsible for keeping.
Yes, that was Lou. He reminded everyone that the HOAs are responsible to clean the bubbler boxes and the lines. We put them in with their approval and to help the bank erosion. That's why we put them in. That was Faye. She asked if there was any oversight or any, the answer is usually, the answer is no. Okay, I'll be, that's the simple answer. We always tried, I'm not a politician. I won't give you an answer that they always call us when they have a problem. Some homeowner will see a backup in their yard, they'll call us expecting us to come and clean it. at that time, we reinforce the fact that that's their responsibility. But we could add that to a list with our contractor to do maybe a yearly inspection of the drains. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. But that, and they're in our GIS map where they're physically located.
We just submitted a draft to Air State. clean them up.
Some HOAs have that as an add-on to their, what do you call it, the lawn maintenance contract. I think if you, the cleaning is a different, I think they need to be inspected yearly. Okay, and when you open the grate on top of those bubblers, or you open the grate, if there's debris in there, that means that line is backed up and needs to be cleaned. If that debris is not there, it doesn't need to be cleaned. So the inspection is yearly, but no work is required unless there's debris in there. Yes. Yeah. There is, that would be Jay, there is 2 screws on the top. I mean, you could probably see through there, but to really look at it, there's 2 screws keeping the grate from popping up when the water's too high. The next thing on the agenda, I'll talk a little bit before I turn it over to Jim Latham, is the, what did I say? No, that's not Jim. This is Pete. This is Pete Audette. We've got 2 POs right now. She just mentioned the second PO, Laura did, but we have 2 POs, one to do the interconnect between the ponds for Old Pelican, and the other one is for the storm drains. And Pete is responsible for both of them. And Pete, why don't you give us a little update?
I was news to me that only Pelican is for the interconnects. New Pelican.
No, that's on the storm drains. Yeah, no, the interconnect, the 59,000 are for everything. What we released is New Pelican.
All right.
Correct? Okay.
So what he's talking about is all the ponds have interconnect.
Here, come up here. Maybe they can't hear you. And again, this is Pete Audette.
Sit or stand?
You can do whatever you want.
Well, anyways, there are 2 POs. One is for cleaning all the interconnecting pipes that the ponds have. And that is to keep the level in the ponds regular. That inspection will generate another PO for cleaning, depending on which pipes need to be cleaned. The second PO is for all of the drain structures in the streets. And that is an inspection. It's 482 structures and 216 miter structures. That will generate a cleaning schedule. If you all know, we have 4 zones in Pelican that our engineers have designated. And then one zone is done every 3 years. So once we do the inspection, then we'll begin Zone A next year, et cetera, until for Zone A, B, C, and D. The structure is $27,900 to do all the structures in Pelican. The interconnecting pipes is $59,000. The interconnecting pipes run anywhere from 18 inches to 54 inches. The 54-inch ones and the Belmont one and the large ones, a diver actually goes into the pipe with a mask, and they found cement blocks and plywood and 2x4s. Yeah, everything.
Especially after WCI went bankrupt. Some of the interconnect pipes didn't even exist. They just stopped. They stopped their construction. So that was why we started doing it to start with.
This is the first time the interconnecting pipes have been done.
Except when I was corrected by Laura when I presented this to CDD, except when we took over with WCI, when we had the problems, they were looked at then. But
Okay.
that's been a long time ago.
Okay. So these two inspection POs will then generate the estimates for the cleaning
which will be next fiscal year.
next fiscal year.
Just so.
Unless a repair is
Yeah.
considered, something like that.
Okay, for high level, I'd like to try to go big picture. The interconnect pipes between the ponds are self-leveling, so they're all at the same level. And then they exit through the flowway. So that those interconnect pipes are to keep all the ponds at the same level. So if, that's what they're there for. The storm drains, we clean them, inspect them, because like after a hurricane or things like that, where a lot of water is in the street, a large rain, if they're plugged up, the water just sits in the road. So that's why we do both of them. One is the self-leveling of the ponds, which is the interconnect pipes, and the other one is for to keep the storm drains, so we have hurricanes and things, large rains, that they are go into the ponds, into the flowway, and go down. Okay? The next thing on the agenda right now is a Weir update, and Mike Causey, just a quick thing from Mike. Mike's been involved with this project for 5 years. When you're dealing with the state government, I'm not talking about CDD, the state government and getting permits and everything, someone's going to say 5 years, wow. Sometimes getting anything done with a higher level government is a major accomplishment. Mike Causey came to me with a problem because he lives there on Viadana where they had some flooding. And guess what I did? I recruited him to be part of the group and be responsible for this project. And he has bird dogged this for roughly 5 years.
Well, it's actually 2.5 years. But
Fine. My wife would say I exaggerate everything.
Right. Well, that's okay.
All right.
Anyway, just to give you an update on the project, and some of you, I'm sure, have seen the projects going on in the flowway. He is right. I imagine these projects actually started 5 years ago.
Yes, he did.
Because Weir 1, 2, and 3, I was not involved in. I was involved in the Pond 38. I got involved with the rest because of Doug. And so I have spoken with the engineer who is basically ramrodding this project for Tetra Tech and in conjunction with Gateway. This project has been going on for a long time. There's been a lot of engineering going on along with this, and it took forever apparently to get approved. And I know how long it took to get Pond 38 submitted and approved, a long time. But it's well underway. The construction is out there. And according to the engineer, we're within 30 days of completion. Now, that may not include all the landscaping that has to be redone over by Tiberia. Tiberia, they did tear up some areas. They put in a manhole, and that may have to be hidden. And I'm not sure that that's been fully budgeted for. But hopefully this project will be done. It's well underway. I think their initial project was supposed to end by August 1st. And with some of the landscaping, it may well take that long. But as far as the major construction, hopefully by the end of April, it'll be done. Don't hold me to that because I'm not the construction, but these people apparently are eager to get it done. Now, there are differences. Weir 1 is not on our property anywhere. It is on the west side of I-75. It is where the flowway is into the 6 Mile Cypress slough. And that and Pond 38, the construction concepts are the same. Basically, they are taking the concrete there, they're putting a hole in it, and then they're putting this adjustable weir on it, which will let water out, hopefully, in advance of any storm that we're going to have, the significant rainfall. The other two within the flowway, Weir 2 and 3, are called bypass weirs. They're basically going around the fixed weirs that we have there currently, and they're putting in pipes that will go around that And that's what's disturbing the people apparently over on Tiberio, because they obviously have affected their property. But hopefully that'll all be fixed before it's over with. But let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that this gets done well before the next storm season.
Thank you.
Just a question, the one on Tiberio, is that the one at the bridge by the?
Heron
39,
six,
Heron
six
7,
and
8,
seven.
Yeah.
or
6 and 7,
Right.
right.
You know, we call these weirs, yeah, I'm from the Midwest, we call them a dam.
A dam, yes, a dam.
So,
When you were talking about for the 6 Mile Slough,
We can't hear the people that are talking out in the audience. Sorry.
She can't hear.
Here.
The
the question,
oh,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, when you say it's adjustable, it's just a gate that raises and lowers to allow the water through the pipe.
Right, it'll be manually adjusted, but apparently Gateway will have to go out and open.
Oh, okay.
and Chelsea, I know people have come to me within the neighborhood saying the project is behind, and they had went to you, and I'm just saying that you are the one with the information on the weirs. We are not, but we are, and I know you told the lady that we are not behind schedule, and we're on target. But somehow rumors start that the project is way behind, but I don't think there's any truth to that. Chelsea, you guys say anything before we move?
Chelsea's otherwise occupied, but there were some plans that we were waiting on to get approved, and trust me, the contractor wants to get out of there just as bad as you guys want them out of there. So we are not behind. Things just move slow in government, so we're right on task. I know it's not moving as quickly as everybody would like to see it happen, but it's happening as quickly as it should be.
Okay.
Yeah, one additional point, just to talk about the rumors. My wife played golf on Tuesday with another member of Avila, and we were told that this was being done by the Army Corps of Engineers, and it would not be done until August 1st. So
Yeah.
I think we're going to beat that deadline.
Yeah.
It's not the Army Corps of Engineers, it's a private contractor. It all went through bidding process.
Yeah.
Lowest bidder.
So the residents' main complaint so far is there's big steel things driven into the ground and in a circle around where they're trying to
Divert the water.
that divert the water so they can put a concrete. I don't think they're in. Those aren't in there.
And they don't like looking at the porta potties.
Yeah, and the porta potties and the
Those are the
trucks.
calls I get.
Right, I know. I get those calls. I get those calls and I direct them another way. I direct them to CDD. But once
And
it's
absolutely send those here if there's any questions, because that actually is a district project. So absolutely send them here.
and we'll add some stuff. I'll get with Mark to make sure from a landscaping standpoint, we add some stuff for the littorals or the stuff around the weirs to make them look better. We will add that to the capital expense. Okay?
Is there a weird
That I do not know.
No, I don't think so. Okay? Someone asked if there was a weir on pond 2. That was Lou that asked that question. And I don't know of any weir on pond 2.
One point of talking about the interconnects, pond 38 is not interconnected with any other pond. It is 2 feet higher than all the rest of them, and that's probably part of the reason it's flooded to begin with.
Which is why we got an adjustable weir.
Right.
Okay? But I don't want to take much more time because I've got to get my 1 hour done. The only thing is regional Southwest water management. We cannot just automatically lower the weir. It requires approval for them to be able to lower the weir. With Ian, that approval was done for where in Gateway system, the weirs that were adjustable already, they got approval before Ian hit to lower the water level. So there's less water contained within the thing. So when we get more water, it keeps the flood lesser extent because we got rid of some of it before the storm.
Right.
Before this, that's why we'll put them in place. Okay. Fall. The next thing on the agenda is the what?
Accepted.
What?
We need to move to accept this report.
No.
Oh.
He's just giving the status.
We don't trust him.
Well, you will find out there will be some things we will vote on here from a recommendation standpoint where there's expense associated with that we need to go forward. This data will be in what we're covering now will be in the subcommittee, pond subcommittee report that will be part of PPAC, which will be presented next Thursday. Okay, there'll be a formal report that goes through that. Okay, the next thing on the report is the status of aeration power reduction. Jay has taken over that, or from, I'm going to say Peggy. Anything bad, we'll blame Peggy for it. Anything good, we'll give it to Jay and Ed, who is our data analyst from a power consumption standpoint. So Jay is going to cover the current progress and where we're at, and he's coming up here so you can hear him.
I'm not really the data analyst. I think Ed is.
No, I
doing
meant
most of
Ed.
that
I
analysis.
meant Ed.
Yeah, Ed is the data analyst. So good morning, everybody. It's nice to be here. This is my first meeting, so great to see everybody. I started back in November, December. I believe the aeration reduction project started about 6 months ago.
It was approved by CDD about that time, 6 months ago.
Okay, so just brief background there for those who aren't familiar with it. It's a project that was initiated to reduce the consumption of power with all the equipment that we have servicing the ponds. Number one, and number two, reduce the maintenance cost that is pretty substantial. I think the power consumption is currently about $80,000 a year.
Yeah, our number one expense in everything.
Right, and the goal now is to reduce that to about $60,000. Apparently, a number of years ago, additional equipment was added because there was money available.
Yeah.
We thought, hey, let's really aerate these ponds and get them healthy. It wasn't needed. It was overkill. So what we're trying to do right now is to right size all of this. So Superior Waterways was issued 2 POs. First was to add, to supply and install 38 new diffusers. And we have both stone diffusers and membrane diffusers. The membrane diffusers are the new ones, the stone diffusers are the older ones. So that project was completed already. Superior Waterways has completed that. We have another PO that we are working on now that is to replace some of the older stone diffusers and to move some of them around. One of the issues that we do have is we need to validate, apparently there's a permit that gives you criteria and certain requirements that you have to meet if you're going to make any changes to the pond's aeration equipment. So we're going through that right now. There's some questions about what the validity of some of these and where they came from and things like that. Let's see here. I mean, in a nutshell, the reductions have been fairly significant so far. We've reduced 7 of the cabinets in 58 lakes. We've reduced 53 compressors, and we've reduced 83 diffusers. So a lot of work. I'd like to see a number of, Andy from Superior said we should start to see some reduction in our power consumption fairly soon, but I haven't seen that yet.
Thank you.
Sure.
So the reduction in compressors reduce the power consumption. And it also, that is how that gives us parts to replace the compressors when they go back. Guess we're going to have to surely end the meeting in 1 hour because it says low battery and I don't have anything to power it on, to power it up.
Can I just say, is it possible for someone, whoever, to put out a general email to all the residents? Because I'm getting hammered by residents when they see that the aerator's either being shut down or the box is being taken away, and they're really, really concerned that it's going to screw up the ponds. And I try to tell them, no, we're reducing power. And
every pond still has aeration, okay? And the second thing, we have not removed any boxes. In fact, the compressors we've turned off is still in the old box. We haven't even taken them out. We just turned them off. So we got the power reduction, but we haven't consolidated that inventory back into some type of thing that we can use as parts. So if they need an aerator, if they need a compressor, they'll just go to a box, take it out because it's already off, and go put it in the oven.
But I'm just saying there's confusion with the residents as to why we're doing this.
There was, and actually, I'll be honest. I got more calls after the note to clarify it than before. But in fact, someone said we ran out of money and we were turning them all off. I mean, that's.
Oh, I've heard that.
Yeah. Okay. Next thing we have to do is number E, 8E, pond subcommittee observation. You will remember, and this was presented to PPAC in my report, and it was also at our last meeting, we talked about this observation of the pond banks. And that it was a 3-step process. Step number 1 was one of our board members would go and evaluate the pond with another pond volunteer, because we can't have 2 of us go because of sunshine. So we had 1 board member and a volunteer to go around and look at the ponds to create a list from an inspection. That's step 1. Step 2, that was presented the last meeting. Step 2 was to validate that with our subcontractors that do the maintenance on the ponds. And then step 3, to keep all thought of being totally impartial. So someone says, well, you did that because that was your pond. We're going to have Tetra Tech do a validation of the data, as the CDD that's their engineering firm, that we will do that validation with them. And then we'll put a plan in place that will also be part of the capital expenditures for next year. Okay? Jim, I can talk. I'll just say one thing. The multiple board members were going to do this and everything. Jim was able to do, he caught COVID, got bored, and he went and did this. Led the effort more than by himself, did a lot more of that initial inspection. So Jim, thank you, and you can go through what you've found out so far. And oh, by the way, Georgia and Laura, if we disconnect this because my computer ran out of battery.
Okay, so we said during our normal pond inspections, we had observed some ponds had excessive erosion after Ian, noticeably different. To the point that it looked like it could be dangerous for our landscaping crew. We don't want lawnmowers falling over into the pond. So we were going to have a couple people go and doing this. Like we said, we got bored with COVID, so I went out with a couple other guys and we walked all the ponds. One reason I thought this was beneficial is that it's not a clear-cut measurement. There's no 90-degree angle to measure it. So some of it is height by over how much width. So it just seemed easier to do it all using the same method. So we went around, we took a look at all the ponds on the resident side. I boiled it down, and like I said, we didn't want to have any responsibility of saying, I feel this is most important. We're providing the information, which ponds we feel need to be addressed, so we don't have to pay Tetra Tech to go to every pond with a lot more increasing costs that would entail. So we did identify 2 ponds that had excessive erosion due to downspout bubblers. There was no drainage. Places were built, so we're in the process of getting that addressed. 5 ponds have pretty widespread bank erosion. So this will be provided to Tetra Tech. They will go out and do formal measurements and determine if there's any kind of prioritization that they would recommend in having that resolved. There were also 12 individual locations on ponds. These are places that there may have been some small areas of erosion behind a specific house. The rest of the pond looks pretty good, but maybe there's a couple of individual areas, so it's not a widespread renovation that's needed. So we identified 8 of those as well. 12 of those. So again, Tetra Tech will be going and identifying which needs to be addressed, what processes they're recommending, and then we'll be able to review moving forward. We're looking to have this done in conjunction with littoral restoration when they're doing bank renovation. Some of these ponds have little or no littoral growth, and there's no sense doing anything before we address the larger problem. On littorals, with this, we also identified ponds that had no littoral growth. Apparently, most of them had littoral growth. For some reason, they're gone. We identified 8 ponds. we have, a couple of years ago, planted some plantings, most of the ponds, it did not take. Some of the ponds, you know, the canna lilies are doing well, so, but we don't want to turn around and just start planting plants. We want to make sure that the banks are going to support it. We are pending a bid to do some on Pond 18, which is when you come in here where the gator usually sits on the bank on the roadside. We're looking to do some cannas. Again, this is a very highly visible pond for the whole community, so we want to start getting something done. Verify that it works and it takes hold, and then we'll probably do the backside of the pond. But you know, so we're going to be looking at the ponds that have not enough or no littoral, and we'll come up with plans to start getting that in a little better shape. Anybody have any questions on? Okay, we did have a budget for Tetra Tech to start doing the initial review, and then when back to us on that, we'll be able to work with Gateway to come up with a plan on restoring. Some of the ponds can be quite expensive doing this. So you're balancing what's normal, what is really needs to be addressed, and we want to make sure we're addressing it so in 5 or 10 years we don't have the same issue again.
This is Laura. Just quick question. Did you actually get a task authorization from Tetra Tech for that $30,000? Or are you just guessing that that's what it's going to cost?
We're guessing that's what's going to cost, Laura, from what I was talking to you before. We're just starting the process here to have a recommendation of our group for the employ Tetra Tech for up to $30,000 to do that.
Okay, so you need direction from staff then to request a quote Tetra Tech to have them do a task authorization, but you can take that to PPAC.
What recommendation should we do right now with this group so we can end this line item? Do we want to recommend to the staff to get a quote from them? And that's what the recommendation is. And then we'll have to come back a second time for up to $30,000 to do that. How would you recommend we do that?
You could take the same recommendation or the same item that you have here, take that to PPAC and say, this is what we would like to do. We're requesting that staff reach out to Tetra Tech to get a task authorization or quote to do the work. And as a committee, we're okay with approving up to $30,000, but I'll need to know where you want to approve it from or where you're going to take it from. Same as them. So, but then the PPAC would have to okay that and then provide direction to staff to go ahead and request that.
Okay. So what we need to do is recommend, number one, we ask staff to do a task, what did you say, task form to Tetra Tech. And number two is to authorize up to $30,000 against that task.
Kind of backwards, but you need to take this to PPAC and say, we would like to ask staff to request a task authorization from Tetra Tech to perform these services. As a committee, we are approving up to $30,000. So PPAC needs to direct staff to do it because ultimately it is their budget.
But I don't want to just come back to us for a second time.
No, you wouldn't need to, because you're going to PPAC, you're saying, we want to spend up to $30,000 for Tetra Tech. Will you please, will you direct staff to get the quote from them?
Okay. I have a recommendation for this amongst the group. Then a second. Okay.
You'll need to just do an agenda item for the PPAC meeting under committee updates then.
Okay. It was already planning to be on there.
Okay. Yep.
One question.
Yep.
Jim, I know you don't know the timing for sure, but let's not sort of an estimate. You have any idea?
You're right. There's a lot to do here. Yes. And you can't turn around in all reality and say, okay, we're going to ask for $400,000 to redo 4 ponds and 10 different things. This, I imagine, will be a couple of years to, 2 or 3 years to address this. Again, we would need to know from Tetra Tech what are our cost estimates so we have an idea how we can break this down and address it.
Is there,
Yep. And this would be a good item to put on your capital improvement, that spreadsheet that would go on here because it's gonna be a multi-year project and it's gonna be
Yep.
expensive.
Yep,
So is it expected that Tetra Tech, once you're on board and you get them all, following up on their inspection? Now, will they prioritize then? Will that be the group that will prioritize? it?
That's what we're looking to have them. take
independent
that.
prioritization group, okay?
So I don't say your pond because you're on the committee. We're
Right.
doing yours first.
Yeah. Darn it.
So,
What the heck we here
Yeah,
for?
well,
Right.
I understand.
You know, well, then somebody else says, well, you know, you did it because Lynn was, you know, they don't like me or they like him. So,
You had mentioned specifically 2 ponds that had significant erosion.
yes.
Could you share with us what ponds those are?
The 2 ponds had excessive erosion due to downspout bubblers.
Yeah.
Ponds 3 and 52.
52 is the little one behind Casella. And the other one is that bridge going over to Trentino Estates, that pond there. Most of it is just because behind Casella, there was no, it was skipped. But it's a new pond. No one even knew the pond was there. And the downspout initiative was not done.
That's the one that borders the reserve.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Lynn, from a high level, I always come back and say from a high level, I'm hoping to be able to do 1 pond this year.
Okay.
Okay, by finding a way within the current budget, maybe take the downspout initiative but be able to show some progress. And then as the downspout initiative year 8 comes down this way and we spend less, the other one will go up. So it's sort of like we spend, let's just say $250,000 on the downspout initiative per year. We've done it for about 8 years. I envision some of that money is going to be directed after we complete year 8, will be directed towards this. But to start with, we'll probably do a pond quickly to show some progress. So I always like to show progress too, right?
Well, and I just wanted to, just one time, first, thank you for all the work.
Yeah.
Because we have been in communication on some things and then you realize, so hands-on, the extra stuff he's doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's good, but I think your answer is exactly what I was looking for. Because there are questions,
Yeah.
you know, from homeowners and comments and rumors, you know, that start, I don't know where some of these rumors start, but they do. But anyway, thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, but we can't fix everything in day 1. We don't have a budget, you know, way. And we have a plan of how we'll do that, and we'll talk about that. We'll go for approval. We'll go through the bid process as we go through this, because the expense of multi-year thing, we will go through the bid process in this restoration of the littoral. Okay?
Do you have a list of what you've done?
I'll send it out. The 5 ponds, 28, 41, 43.
Doug, we can no longer hear you.
I'm guessing his computer died.
Okay.
I did send him a text telling him he needed to take minutes after his computer died. We're gonna stop recording the meeting because the meeting host's computer, we believe, has died and there's no way for them to transmit.